Hey there, welcome back to FablesD20. This is a conversation with my friend Minna. Hopefully you get to know her, not just all her amazing characters in the games on this channel. We talk about her love for D&D, how she got into her creative passions, and we ramble a lot about our favorite anime. And this video is sponsored by the backers of this channel. Thank you everybody who supports this channel. As a backer of this channel, you can get uncut long adventures. So rather than the 50 minute cinematic cut down, you can get the full 5 hours. If you want to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/FablesD20. The first tier is only $1, assuming you're not getting it on the mobile app. Enjoy the conversation. I will see you on the other side. Minna.
Hey.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You went to college for makeup?
No, I went for costume design.
Costume design, and then now you're into cosplay.
I am, though to be fair, I have not cosplayed since the pandemic.
What was one of your favorite characters to cosplay as?
It was Jubilee from X-Men. Specifically, a very specific variant. It's from X-Men Apocalypse, I believe, and it is the Lana Condor Jubilee, where she's basically a mall rat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. How long did it take you to make that costume?
Oh my God, it was so easy actually, because that is my favorite because it looks so movie accurate. And it's incredibly comfortable, and I just assembled it. I found the perfect yellow jacket from Forever 21 one random day, and that's kind of what I was like, oh my God, this is the sign. But other than that, I guess my second favorite costume I've ever made, that I actually made and put a lot of hours into, is this character from an anime. Her name is Momo or Creati. She's like a hero that can make basically anything out of her body fat. So she memorizes the chemical composition of everything, and then she makes it from her body. Yeah.
What's the show?
It's called My Hero Academia.
I think you've been trying to get me to watch that.
Yeah, it's really good. You know how you were saying like, oh, I'm so dumb. I don't know. I can't believe I didn't think to put in the sound through the through the jack. You should watch this show because it's so good, and you're dumb for not watching it.
I'll take that, yeah. Is there any correlation or overlap that you've ever found that brought your passion for costume design, cosplay to tabletop?
I think it's that idea of wanting to embody someone else and the characteristics of a person that you admire or a character that you like, and just being someone else for a little while. And community as well, actually.
Both very valid and fair. Would you say the community that you have gotten to know around tabletop playing, has it been mostly a positive experience?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah? You found your way to Geek and Sundry.
Oh, it's just because I was already friends with two people who ended up winning when they were having the vlogger competition. I was already friends with a couple people, and I was like, oh, that's cool that they're like doing this thing for this new YouTube channel. Like, and I'll vote for them. And then I'm still friends with them, so.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Because
every time Allie and I hang out with you and Jordy, and it's like, how the hell does Minna know these people? What?
I'm just tertiarily like been around the community.
That's so funny.
Yeah. That too, though, to be fair, a lot of the people who work in the industry or in the tabletop community aren't necessarily from here. Yeah, like my friends who are who were in Geek and Sundry, they weren't from LA originally.
Okay.
So, yeah.
When being around the people who were in Geek and Sundry and being a part of that community, what were some of your favorite games? What things did you learn from the community? If any?
I don't know if I learned any lessons per se. It was cool because I already I'm just a normal geek myself, and it was cool to have other people to talk about that kind of stuff with. That
Big plus.
Like growing up, like it's just like, you know, public school, I had like my little group of friends that I eventually like left when I graduated and we grew apart. So coming back from college here and having a community already here with my college friends that were
Big
into
plus.
that. Yeah, it was very nice, you know?
I mean, I grew up only child, town of 200 people, divorced parents, no community whatsoever, just growing up. Half my family didn't know until I was an adult. The other half lived in Germany.
That'll do it.
So like it's such a blessing to hang out with Jordy and just nerd out constantly. And then Chris just sponges into the conversation too.
I think Jordy feels that way a lot too. I know this is about me, but to talk
Jordy is yours.
Yes. He expresses that a lot as well, moving to LA and finding that geeky community here, and just not having had that growing up and realizing that he does like that kind of stuff, and he doesn't have to just be like, he doesn't have to worry about people judging him for liking that, because there's a big and powerful community of people who will support his passions and hobbies. Yeah.
It's one of the greatest things about this hobby, and then just investing so much energy into this channel.
Yeah.
It's just meeting you, meeting Jordy and everyone that we've played with. And it's just like, it actually feels like I've made true friends.
That is so lovely. I have to say, wow.
Speaking of WoW, though, the characters that you've made at this table have been purely WoW to me as a DM. Let's go over some of the characters you made.
Sure.
The first time we played, we were playing D&D 5e, and we did the Haunting of Ruby Minnie's Inn.
No, the first time we played was actually the Minds of the Colossus.
You're right.
Man, I'm like correcting you with this.
Hey, correct me. I'm allowed to be wrong.
Get your lore straight, see, Mike.
I need more lore podcasts. Next lore podcast, Chris and I will talk about Minna's lore.
Make sure you have all of our lore straight, man.
I don't want to do that.
It's a lot of work. I get it.
So, Colossus, it was not a Halloween, but it was very last minute of a game.
Yeah, you had to get it together real quick because you're like, oh, there's a window of time that Dale is here.
Yeah.
So
that was wild.
So funny.
Trent, another Australian crafting creator who knew Dale and I, told me, hey, Dale's in town, you should hit her up. And I was like, I don't know if I should. I don't want to be like another guy on the internet just like, hey, you're in town, we should hang out.
Because you know her like online through the community, like you're a fan and like you've seen her stuff.
Her stuff is super fucking creative and inspiring. And then Trent hit her up, and then her and I started talking, and then she's like, actually, do you know Jordy? I was like, what?
There's that Geek and Sundry connection, is that Jordy knew Dale because of me, because I knew her. She was my friend through my friends at Geek and Sundry. And so when she came to America and she needed a place to stay, she stayed with us. And then here we are.
Wild. And then, I was like, do you want to do like a podcast conversation? Do you want to play a game? What do you want to do? And we decided on playing a game. And then I was like, let's do some type of national treasure mining thing.
Yeah.
And then the entire week, I just built those mining scaffolds.
I remember the scaffolds. They're very impressive. And I remember you spent a lot of time on them.
Your character was I don't remember the name. If you remember the name.
Oh, that's a good question. Do I remember the name of the character?
It was a half-elf ranger.
Yeah. Oh, her name was Farah.
Farah.
Or Kira, because I skinned it off of Farah from Akatar. Yeah, just a partial elf. Partial elf girl.
Love that. I was gonna ask you what inspired you for the character, and
There you go. Yeah.
Don't even need to correct me. You were coming off of playing Star Wars 5e.
Yes.
Which, in many ways, from my point of view, is crunchier than D&D 5e.
There's a lot of options, for sure.
And we started in that one shot. We played, I forget what level. Was it like 5 or 6 or something?
Something like that.
I was so impressed with, one, how good of like both table partner and just like a partner Jordy was to just making sure you're good without ever like stepping on your feet.
He's so good at supporting, I have to say.
With the fact that like you would do a thing and then I was just ask for your creative, like describe it. You had such beautiful original ideas.
That's so kind of you to say. Thank you.
And I was just like, This is great. I love playing with Minna. And so when we finished that game and then Halloween was coming, I was like, let's hit up Jordy and Minna. I want to play with Minna and Jordy again. And then you and him came by with another crazy idea of characters.
We love to spitball stupid buddies, basically. But yeah, we did Fred and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Right.
'Cause we're doing a spooky house thing, and he loves Scooby-Doo. So
I didn't know that, but I feel like it's obvious now that you pointed it out.
my character being very into ghosts and wanting to find them, and him being super scared of them. And then he created that little sidekick, his sidekick, his sidekick.
Scooby Dog?
Yeah.
You were a golden dragonborn.
A paladin, I believe.
I think it was a paladin. Do you remember the character's name?
Nope, because it was I purposely picked a very stupidly long name from a name generator, but I just wanted it to start with F, so I would basically be Fred. So
that's fair and funny. I remember when you said I'm gonna be a golden dragonborn, like 2 days before. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna have golden dragons in this. It's too many dragons, and they're like, I'm gonna be a golden dragonborn. I guess I'm gonna have golden dragons in my world.
You could have said something.
No, I was like, when the players throw things in, I'm just like, okay, how do I make that part of the world now? Which is great. The first golden dragon showed up in a later game, and it was like heavily inspired by how you portrayed your golden dragonborn.
Really?
Because I was like, okay, your golden dragonborn, obviously there's this individual personality, but there has to be that personality has to come from some type of cultural impact.
Right.
And because they're environmental based, so it's like that character as an egg would have been near a river for a golden dragon to come from it, because in my world, golden dragons are river dragons.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, so I want to absorb as much as I can from Minna's character into how I can see the golden dragons existing.
That is so cool. Wow. I changed your world.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I think the line that sticks in my head from you and your character is like, it seems like the monsters come when it's dark. Quick, squash out the fire.
Yes. I remember turning to me like, can I roll to stomp out the fire? And then Jordy in character me like, no. It was very cool.
You sent the character name.
Oh God, here we are.
Well, there was a shorthand one.
Yeah.
Rue?
Yeah. Oh, I guess I just skinned it as Ro or Rue.
But yeah, good luck reading that one.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, it was Femfith Rolasar, and I was like, I go by Ro.
That's great. Oath of Vengeance. Why did you pick Vengeance?
I forget what. I honestly forget. I don't remember. Because it was almost exactly a year ago that we filmed that one.
Yeah. Pretty close. Do you remember your subclass for the Ranger?
Nope. Yeah. I remember her. She was like Iceborn or something. So her region thing. But I don't remember what the sub. Oh, it was Monster Slayer.
Monster Slayer.
Or Monster Hunter. I don't know. That's also a video game, so I don't know.
Pretty good video game. I would play that in the morning before going to, I think it was during sophomore year in high school.
Wow.
I'd play that in the morning, slay a dragon, and go to school feeling accomplished.
That is a great way to go to school. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I would have Marie Callender's hot pie for breakfast, and that was my, feel great. Here we go.
Hell yeah. Then I think the third one would be what we just got done playing, right?
I think so. I think those are the only games I played, too. Yeah. And then this is just the third one. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about Al.
Yeah, Al is the Heath Ledger of the Knight's Tale one shot that you did. He is When I created him, I kind of really went back into anime to think about like what kind of character choices I would make for him, because he's kind of he's the hero, like the oh sorry, that's my phone telling me to go to bed, or get ready to go to
Good
bed.
night.
Yeah. Good night, listeners. But yeah, so I kind of thought about like how do typical dumb anime heroes, like, you know, the stereotypical hero behaves like they're all about like the shonen hero is about like hitting and like friendship and very simple minded, you know, he gets the pretty girl, he likes food, you know.
Because I didn't know that inspiration when
Mhm.
we started playing. So it was like you started portraying that character of the story way dumber. And I was like, this is going to be an interesting choice. And so when the first time I asked, like, what do you want most right now? And you're like, I want to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, the way I thought about it is that he starts off dumb and like wanting the simple things in life, but once he sees like, oh, there is a world that I have that is unattainable to me because of the class that I have been born in, and it's like starts making him kind of mad. That was kind of like that's kind of what happens where like you become jaded over time, you know. So, yeah.
I like that. We got to actually talk real deep story and have good scenes about classism.
Yeah, actually, so back to My Hero Academia, the anime that you should watch. Yeah, so in similar way, like I kind of thought about the main character of that story, who he really wants to become a hero and help people, and that's his main motivation. But he's also like, you know, 13, 14, and like over the course of the series, the weight of the world is put on his shoulders, and like he goes from this wide-eyed, you know, ingenue type to like very like he's very damaged at this point, like and he is fully willing to sacrifice his like whole body, his self, his sense of being to like save the people around him. Like it goes so much deeper than that, but like his motivations start off seemingly very simple, but they become deeper at the end of it.
Okay. I mean, I have to watch it. You're recommending it. And it's
It is a love letter to every superhero anime, like to of the hero kind of. So I would highly recommend it, if only for reference.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I still need to watch Blue Eye Samurai.
Oh, I still need to watch that too, actually. So
I'm on the Faerun, not the Faerun, the Faerun bus.
I don't know what that is.
Freerin.
Freerin, yes, Freerin is so good.
I've only gotten to episode 22 because I'm waiting for the rest of the dub.
I've only gotten to episode 17, so you're ahead of me now.
It's pretty good.
It's so good.
Oh my god, it's so nice. It's really upsetting, like when you're deep into playing like D&D and you're just these are wizards and this is stuff, but then when you watch Free Reign, it's like, I really want downtime. This is what I want to do with downtime.
It is like there definitely like are fights that happen and stuff in Free Run, but like a lot of it is just the downtime and like her dealing with her life and her like apprentices and stuff, just being kind of people in that world.
The idea of learning an appreciation of time, of like she wants to spend months in a forest looking for a single flower, and her human apprentice is like, no,
I beg of you. When you're immortal, though, you got all the time in the world to look for that single flower.
Oh yeah. It did get me thinking about like, because in Aida, elves faded away and half elves became a thing, and then they started having human children, right? And it's just kind of this evolution that's happening. And so there's a chance that this actually happens in the world, which I thought was really interesting because of Free Reign. A single family can have two children, one being human, one being half elf, and they're blood siblings. The youngest could be a human, and the older one is a half elf. And eventually, the human young sibling will out-age and die before the older sibling. And I was just like, there is a story right there that is so sad and so frustrating.
Yep. There's a lot of stories like that. One of my favorite anthology series. It's called I think it's called Mermaid Forest by Rumiko Takahashi. But she writes about a guy in medieval Japan who eats the flesh of a mermaid, and he he outlives his wife at the time, and it goes into modern day, and it's like him dealing, with the consequences of immortality, and the people who continue to seek it and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That, I think when it comes to like immortal characters, there is the idea of like, oh, you'll get over the people you lose, and you can see how your brain could overcome that. But I also think the moment of the loss is always heavier because it's a constant reminder that you're in a cycle. In Lord of the Rings, where Arwen would outage oh my god, what's his name? Aragorn. Like, that's so sad. You'll outage your children. Like, that moment feels unfair.
So yeah, that's the idea, is like people seek immortality thinking like, oh, if I have all the time in the world, like it's time is the most precious commodity, right? But when you have an infinite amount of time, does it become trivialized?
Yeah. One of the animes that I cannot watch anymore.
Okay.
Because at the end of every episode, I will cry.
Okay.
Like, ugly cry. Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, yeah. Anyone who's watching anime gets that, because you know what's coming. Yeah.
I like, not even Brotherhood. Original.
That one's good too. I mean, it kind of a lot of people would say both series are good, but Brotherhood's better because it has a more like finished ending, because at the time the manga was still running when the first series came out. So it feels a little wonky.
From my understanding, I don't remember the name of the original creator, but he was making the manga and the first series, stopped making the manga to finish the series, and then wanted to rewrite, finished the manga, and then made Brotherhood, and then it was still different.
Yeah.
It was just like each one's a new draft.
I think so, but I think Brotherhood was still closer to the manga. I don't know. I cannot verify. I don't know. But
Brotherhood had some amazing scenes.
Oh yeah.
I still remember finding out that there was a movie that actually followed up with it, and I was like, oh my god, thank you. What's some animes that you have enjoyed and have impacted you heavily?
I would say, like, growing up, like a lot of the magical girl anime. So like everyone knows Sailor Moon. There's also this one that I love called Cardcaptor Sakura. In America, it was released as Cardcaptors. But there is this group of female comic book authors that created that series, and a whole basically universe of all their comics takes place in the same universe. And like the idea is almost, I think they basically all take place in the same version of Tokyo, but they're all different stories.
Oh, hell yeah.
Then I was obsessed with that group of comic authors. They're called Clamp. And they've released
CLAMP.
Yes, and they all have different names, obviously, but that's not their actual name. But then they have, they've released, like, they're very prolific. They've released several series throughout the years. I would say their most famous one most recently is this anime called Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, which is a interdimensional version where it takes basically all the characters that they've already created, but places them in different universes, and they dimension hop, and they see different versions of these characters that are beloved by their fans. So I really like them.
Look, the characters meet their fans in dimension hop.
No, they don't meet their fans.
Oh,
they meet other versions of characters, like.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Within that creative sphere. So a lot of the magical girl animes were very formative to me growing up. All the stuff that you could watch on Adult Swim as a teenager, Inuyasha, Cowboy Bebop, obviously. Yeah, I kind of just basic stuff. I think a lot of
the mainstream one that we were able to get in America.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could pay, $30 for a DVD at Suncoast Video for like 4 episodes. Yeah, or what FYE or something like that, whatever that was called. Sam Goody.
Yep. Trigun.
Oh, I loved Trigun. Yes.
The first time I saw it, I could not wrap my head around it. But then, like, I want to say early 20s, I was able to watch it again, and I was like, "Huh, that's really interesting. It's like it started getting my brain to work about anime on a deeper level. And it's just like my brain wasn't ready for that early.
It just depends on your exposure, I think. Like I was blessed to have grown up with like, cause my the very first anime I remember watching is this one called Galaxy Express 39, and it's because my mom at the bootleg video store that's behind the Korean supermarket got me this video because it was a cartoon. Galaxy Express 39 is not for children. It's about an intergalactic war between humans and cyborgs, basically, that's happening.
Okay.
And it follows this little boy as he tries to essentially get back to his mother, but he's also like, oh God, I'm probably mucking this up, but he's essentially kind of like a gunslinger type, but like, again, he's 10. And like, I have very clear memories of him like climbing over piles of bodies as he, and like him coming upon like the petrified, petrified body of a woman that looks remarkably like his mother. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not for kids.
No. But if you've ever seen the Daft Punk movie, where it's like the aliens and stuff, like they have blue skin and stuff.
I don't think I have seen that movie.
It's like it's basically their visual album movie, but like the same author also, that's his animation that's in it. His name is Leiji Matsumoto. Yeah, he's like a manga author from the 70s. He's very legendary. Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. Yeah.
All right.
So that was like my first, and that in my 4-year-old brain, I was like, I don't know. Wow, I don't think I'm supposed to watch this, but like I'm very invested. This is like something I want to watch because I know I'm just not supposed to, that kind of thing.
I feel like for me that was the Batman animated series. Not anime, but still super dope.
Oh my God, yeah. The animation to like still so good to this day. The storyline's incredible. Voice acting, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know there were like sometimes like just 6 or 8 episodes of an anime. So I was like always assuming that where's the rest of the shows?
Yeah.
And I would catch on Adult Swim like Fooly Cooly.
Oh man, yeah. What a time.
And the original Tenchi Muyo.
Did you watch all 3 of the different Tenchi Muyos?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tenchi Muyo up to when they rebooted it or like continued it with new voice actors.
Yeah.
Then there was Universe.
And Tenchi in Tokyo.
And Tokyo. I loved all 3.
I did too. Also really cool, like the lore of like the different race, like the tree,
Yeah.
the people who would like basically they tie their life force to a tree. So they are essentially immortal. They live like 1,000 years. Like that was super cool.
Yeah.
And they have the equivalent of lightsabers also. I was like, this is very much a lightsaber.
It's so much a lightsaber. But then it's also like, I loved it so much that when I was able to get a laptop, iTunes, they had Tenchi Muyo, and I just spent as much money to get it all down.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I could just sit there with ramen with because college student, you only have ramen, so you're just eating that and watching it. And I would actually, to practice screenwriting, I would watch like Tenchi Muyo and try to take the structure of the series and try to adapt it into a single movie. I would just write it.
That is
while
fascinating.
binge watching.
Of all it's Tenchi Muyo that did it.
And I would like intertwine like elements of Universe and Tokyo just to like, oh, that'd be like understanding audience. Like, oh, that's a good nod. Oh, like, oh, how would I make this moment exist between these 2 characters, how I perceive their relationship?
Oh my God, you're basically writing fan fiction. This
basically
is crazy. I love it.
In script form.
Yes. Oh my God.
I just remember it being like crazy in my brain. But that show was so good. So good.
Especially when you haven't a lot of American media was not like that at the time. Like there's a lot of anime influence in American media now, but that was not the case when we were coming up. So
no, American animation, it was, I think the big thing that caught my eye as a kid. You tell me how you feel about this.
Okay.
When I think of like Scooby-Doo, sorry, Jordy, it's a still image and they're trying to avoid animating as many frames as possible.
Yep.
Whereas animation is every frame something has to be moving, or in anime, something always has to be moving every frame.
I will say that is probably a correct perception in that during that time, a lot of the anime that was being imported was like the cream of the crop, like the most popular, the best anime. Now, if you like look at like, because the anime, there's a lot more than even what we got back then and now. There's a lot of like anime that's just like it's not very well animated. It's like also a cartoon over there. You know, there's kids anime and also, there's different various levels. We just happened to get the cream of the crop at the time.
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, of course.
3 weeks of one combat scene.
Very famously, yes. Just me going to in 5th or 6th grade, like talking to the kids, like, did you guys see? Like, I can't believe it went on for another episode. What?
Learning how to draw.
Oh my god!
The golden Super Saiyan hair, and then eventually Super Saiyan 2, and you're like, yeah, just make it taller, yeah. And then you're like, Super Saiyan 3 comes out. I'm gonna learn how to draw that too.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was 6th grade. I got my mind blown that in Japan they were like 10 seasons ahead of us. And I was like, what?
There's so much more of this. Yeah.
There's a future that's still coming. Whereas like when I think of the cartoons that were just coming on TV from American studios, it's like, I understood that, okay, that season's done. I have to now wait for the next season to get made. And I was like, but they're already made. Why are they not here yet? It can't take that long to send it here.
Who knows? It's a whole ocean away. But yeah, I don't know.
I remember my mom at an airport in Germany got me one issue of a manga of Dragon Ball.
Wow.
Because she's like, hey, these look like the characters on my son's card. Bought it. And it was in English in Germany. I was like, what the hell?
That is actually very funny that you're reading a Japanese comic in Germany in English.
And it was just in the middle of one of the tournaments.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, wait, because I didn't know Dragon Ball existed at the time. Only Dragon Ball Z.
Because, yep.
And I always thought, like, this is really weird that it's starting, like, mid-story.
Yeah. As kids, I did not question it. So.
And I was like, there's a whole, it is real. There is more to it. He's a kid.
It's such a fun little anime.
So
so goofy and yeah.
And then I got Jordy really mad.
Why?
Because I think that's where one of the times with Dragon Ball Z led to the satisfaction of accidentally watching a lot of shows, either at the end of the first season or the beginning of the second season on accident, but thinking these are great ways to start shows. Like watching a finale of a show and be like, this is a baller way to start a show.
Why did you do that?
It was a complete accident.
Oh my
it was
gosh.
automatically set to the final episode.
Oh, I hate it when that happens. Did you watch, how did you, on like Crunchyroll or like what?
No, so I think it's called Mind Hunters. First generation Jewish immigrants hunting down Nazis hiding in New York City.
Oh, I know what this something Hunters. Yeah, starring Logan Lerman and Al Pacino. Yeah,
is it just Hunters?
Yeah.
So it auto set to the final episode.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
And the joy, it was kind of like Dragon Ball Z, where you're like, where are these characters coming from? How do they know each other? There's like no sense of pilot beginning. Like you're just in it. And I'm watching the final episode of Hunters. And I'm like, oh, I have to figure out what's going on. I have to try to keep up. I'm like, man, they are ballsy in this show. And then Al Pacino's showing up. Then they're, spoilers, just killing off the most expensive cast members. I'm like, they just came in for the pilot?
I think I remember him telling me about this now. But honestly, it's kind of like, it's how TikTok videos work, is that it starts off with the conclusion at the beginning of the video, and then it goes into the beginning, and then it loops.
After, before, after versus
because
before, after. You
get hooked. It's like it hooks you in further because you've seen the most exciting part, and you're like, wait, but I don't understand what's happening. So there is something to say about that.
I have a very important question because I feel like I'm being gaslit by the media.
Oh God.
You watched Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah.
Do you remember Piccolo taking Gohan to train him? Do you remember Gohan leaving and running away from Piccolo, making a boat and taking it across the ocean, struggling fighting storms in the sea, just trying to not sink. About 2 to 3 episodes long. And he gets to a shoreline where there are other kids who know nothing about the Saiyans, martial arts, or the powers.
No, but also, like, to be fair, most of the world in that world doesn't know about Saiyans or martial arts or powers.
Right.
So,
but it was like,
but also, that never happened in my brain.
oh
So,
my gosh.
I'm sorry. Did you Google it?
I haven't Googled it.
Okay, maybe you should try that.
I could Google it, but I want to find people who remember this.
To be fair, I've only ever watched the American cut of Dragon Ball Z, and if that does exist, it's possible that it was in a different version because there's
later. I felt like they started cutting those things out.
Yeah, they vary for American releases, especially back then. It's very common for them to cut out whole episodes, whole arcs, like. That anime I was talking about, Card Captors, they did not release the first 5. They started 5 episodes into the anime before, and that's where the American version starts.
Why do they do that?
I can tell you specifically for this one, it's because that's when the boy character is introduced, and so it gives the market like, oh, now boys and girls can relate to this boy character and this girl character, so like it makes it more profitable for them, I think.
Versus starting with a girl and then boys being typically the demographic marketed to
for toys, for watching,
rough.
Hey, it's still a very successful anime. It's
Good
very
for them. Yeah. But clearly anime and other sources of media inspire you when you want to make characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you watch a bunch of stuff with there's a vast wealth of character references out there, and I often reference them when I'm thinking about characters I want to make. And I think I don't know, most creatives think about that kind of stuff, like what inspires them, what interests them at the time, you know? Anime is what got me into art.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I started off by tracing, and then I would like copy separately, and then I think every little kid who likes anime has a delusion at some point that they're going to become a comic book artist or something. So, which I very quickly grew out of. But then in college, when I took up the costume design major, I was like, oh, like, well, I can draw. Like, even though it's not necessarily the major that requires you to have a high art skill, it is really cool. So I ended up still drawing a lot in college. And picking that up, and it was kind of it's if you look at my portfolio, which I still have somewhere, like it's obvious all my drawings are very much like, oh, this girl grew up watching anime, like my eyes are anime eyes, and like so yeah, it was a really cool major. Like I really liked my program, but it was just not something that I ended up finishing the program because at the point I figured out like I'm probably not going to do this for a living. I'm a person that tries not to equate what I do for a living to who I am or what my interests are. So
good for you.
To be fair, I've seen a lot of people who do that. I'm like, I don't think that seems really hard. It seems really painful.
It is painful. It is very painful. I am stuck forever valuing myself based off the value I provide others.
Ooh, that's a whole conversation for a therapist too.
Yep, 100%, 100%.
I mean, that being said, like that is something that I had to come to terms with over like my 20s and stuff, and I'm very at peace with it now.
That's great.
Yeah, so like I'm fine just enjoying the things. Like I'll pick up a pencil or paintbrush if I like have the inclination to, but it's not something that I like. Hey, if I don't make this like cool piece of art, then that's fine. You know, it's something I'm doing for myself. Same thing for here. Like, oh, I get to like play pretend with my friends and like laugh with these made up characters that like, and it's so cool to see what other like my friends come up with and how our characters can interact together. Like 100%. It's really cool to see how they build. And
this hobby and game changed my life.
Yeah.
Allie sees it multiple times a day of like I'm like closed off and I can't even communicate or think or speak to somebody else. And this game has like been able to give me the muscle to just even do this.
Because it forces you to interact with someone else. So it's like practicing a muscle.
Yeah.
Building a muscle.
And it's like why when we record the games, I try to be like, I don't like to do the intro or the outro that much because I can just go record that by myself and just focus on this time of like the thing that makes me feel good, which is like, let's just play.
Yeah.
Let's just have a good time together. And do that very thing like you're saying is like, what did you make? And then what did this person make? And then smash it together, what happens?
Isn't it? It's so cool, like
Yeah.
to see what happens. Yeah.
You and Jordy together have also on another level changed my life.
Uh-huh.
One, kind people, and like you're saying, you're at peace with a lot of things in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're able to just be present and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
That's really hard to find in people,
Especially in LA.
especially in LA.
Mm-hmm. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for being my friend. It is hard to make friends as adults, so
So hard.
yes, because you don't have that forced interaction of like, well, we're in class together. I guess I'll. Can I talk to you for a minute? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, before you get to the next class, let's talk over by the lockers.
Yeah, like, oh, hey, I saw like your cool sticker. Like, can I? Like, I also like anime. Like, I mean, you will learn a lot about a person by how they play TTRPG. So,
100%. Oh my gosh, yes. And I remember I have a video on the channel about like how to get into D&D. And one of the first things I talk about is you have to learn to say yes to other people's ideas, because it's so important due to the fact, especially if you're going to play with kids or anyone, is the first thing that we learn as humans is the word no.
mm-hmm.
To have a space where it's all yeses for the next 4 hours is just a high. We would have not gotten Jordy enough protein if a single no was allowed at the table.
Oh man, it snowballs into such a wonderful predicament. Like, I love that scene so much.
So SW5E is D&D 5e reskinned with some extra rules, a lot of extra rules to make it work with Star Wars.
Right.
Are you currently in a campaign for SW?
I am. My good friend Jocelyn, shout out. She's a wonderful DM who's also shares a great passion for the game. And she, as often as we can, we meet up and we play our characters. Yeah.
What's your character?
My current character in that campaign is a Chironian Berserker, which is basically a centaur barbarian. I chose, yes, that's the fairest character I've ever made. I chose her because when you're a barbarian, you don't have to play any spells.
Fair.
I chose the simplest character.
And it has spell slots in that game too, right?
Yes, yeah. So they're it's called tech casting, and then there's also force casting.
Yes.
So you can do like you can, I forget what the class is called, but like wizards are basically tech casters, and then there's like force sensitive people that are sorcerer. I forget what's.
It's okay.
Yeah, whatever.
I was impressed the first time I saw that, where they used the spell casting system and broke it down for that. I was really impressed.
There's it's a lot though. When I see my my other players at the table play, I'm like, it takes a long time for them to do a turn because there's so many ways that they can use their points. Like they and spell slots. They have tech points. It's very complicated. But it's a really cool world. It's a really cool system in that because it's a universe big. So
yeah, there's nothing wrong with a complicated game if it leads to a lot of creative custom choices.
Yes.
It's just a bummer that the road to get there is so windy. Have you played normal 5e D&D before Colossus?
I don't think I had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went from SW5e to D&D 5e.
Yeah. What a funny way to go about it, but yeah.
Other than like, okay, we're 6th level, I got spells and I got other abilities, like other than that, how did that transition feel?
It felt very, very natural actually. Because I mean, I watch a lot of TTRPG shows, so I already know like the classes, the kind of roles that you need, like which are very similar in SW5e as well.
Just essentially archetypes.
Yeah. So it was fine.
And then to Shadow Dark.
Shadow Dark, wow, so much easier as far as like the fighting part goes. I will say like, oh, the crunch is a lot faster. They basically simplified everything. So there's kind of I mean, as far as role playing goes, of course, there's like, you can role play as creatively as you want, but as far as like certain spells or kind of things that you want to do, like it's more limited. So you don't, but as a result, it's less complicated. So it moves a lot faster.
Yeah.
If that's the part that you hate the most about 5e, then Shadow Dark's a good option.
The reason why I dislike it so much is because I always have to sit there editing it and find a way to, in the edited version, make it digestible and understanding. I think that's where my frustration comes from. Because if I was never recording it, I would get lost in like, I do this and then this and that.
I would say similar in SW5E, that definitely have like, we have spent like 30, 40 minutes like on one person's round, like, because there's so many ways you can do this, and like you try and strategize and like, okay, like I need to look at like the 15 different things I can do. And it's just, I'm like, okay. But that being said, the wonderful thing about 5e is it gives you so many options. It gives you so many things you can do. And it further engenders your creativity. Like, oh, look at this cool like way that I can like make this like fireball or whatever, lightning lure happen. Like, but I want to make it like this. And just having the different components of a spell, or like you can create this really like wonderful like visual like tale, and tell your friends like a cool story of how you came to defeat this creature by like creating the most beautiful I don't know, like flower lightning ever or something. Like reskinning something in your own way, but like within the rules of the game. That kind of makes it cooler almost. It's by true. Like succeeding but still being within the rules.
When did you get into SW5e?
When my friend asked me to be in her campaign. That's it. Otherwise, like I got into D&D like during the pandemic, and that being a fan of College Humor, I was like, oh, I think they have this like a D&D show like I should check out. And I was like, Jordy, you like D&D, like you should watch this too. And he actually like watched it before me, and he told me how good it was, and I ended up watching it, and I became a fan. And also during the pandemic, it's not like you could play with a lot of people, couldn't do really much of anything with a lot of people. And then once I came out of that, I ended up meeting like a friend through Doherty, my friend Jocelyn, who wanted to do an all-girls campaign, and brought me in. And that was my first experience as an adult playing D&D.
Hell yeah. I think I started DMing during the pandemic.
I assume you had been playing before, though.
I've been playing for about, I want to say 7-ish years.
Yeah.
And just DMing since pandemic times. Mostly to give my friend who was a forever DM a break.
That is so kind of you. Also, because I know how DMs get stuck being DMs, because it's so hard.
He was DMing like 2-3 games a week.
That's a lot of games. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, you seem stressed when we're not playing.
Hey, keeping up with 4 to 6 people at a table is not easy.
No, absolutely not. And I like being in that seat. I built a set for everyone to play in. It's why I love doing all the toys. It's like, hey guys, I brought these toys just for you.
Which is incredible.
It's like, because I perceive my value as what I could do for others. Dang
it. Oh no, I'm reinforcing this. Yeah, I will say like D&D, like it's a lot of improv, right? So it trained, like as a kid who grew up, like I had to like retrain my thinking as like, oh, why isn't it this way? Like that's not the way it should be. So like playing this game, it's like, oh, there's no way it should be. It's just the way it is. And I have to react to the way that it is, not the way that I think it should be. That
lesson as a kid was never given to me. Well, that's my childhood PhD. Minna?
See, Mike.
Thank you for hanging out.
Again, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Always.